In this video, I'll show you how you can use Figaf ERT to connect your CPI with Git and create a much better development environment. So the first thing we need to do, if you want to do this, is to go to figaf.com /IRT, sign up, download the tool, start it up on your laptop. In your email, you will also get a license file. You just need to enter this to the license tab. Then you need to go to the agents, and here you will create a new agent that connects to your CPI system with this information. Then you can go here to this change tracking tool. This will then download all the different iFlows and capabilities you have on this system and do versioning of them. Now we are then ready to do a synchronization or create a new Git repository. So we will create a new repository. Two. I did an initial one, but it didn't work out, so let's hope this one is better. We want to create it as private. The reason is sometimes people have selected public, and then you're exposing all your CPI repository with potential configurations to the public, and you don't want that. So keep it private. We just want to create this as fine, create a repository. Then we are getting our pull request, and we'll copy this. We will go to the Figaf tool again. We will go to our agents, and in our agents we will then enable Git synchronization. As we can see, we already entered this, so let me just add these two things. We are using the branch ERT sync, and that means all changes from the Figaf tool will be placed into this one. We are using our username and password from Git, and then we have a standard ignore file. So we'll save here, and then we can initialize this repository. And when we're initializing the repository, it will also download all the different iFlows you have, check if there has been made any changes to these things. If they have not, then it will just take whatever data that's there, put it into the Git repository. And this normally takes about a minute. Obviously, if you're doing the first synchronization, it can take a little longer. So now we have done our synchronization, it's pushed it, and we can see it has now created a new branch that's called ERT Things 3. I just had some challenges with the recording. So we will then copy this this path. We can open it on our desktop or whatever with our favorite Git client. I really enjoy IntelliJ, so we'll go to it here and say git extract. I'll just add it to a temporary folder. We'll say clone, and this will then clone the repository and all the things that you need from it, and start downloading it. We'll do it in this window, that's fine. And obviously it does take a little while of restarting this. There's a lot of things that you need to figure out what's going on. Then you would need to figure out which branch you want to use. So I guess that's some standard Git repository branches. We can view the different branches that we have. We can take this one, check out. The reason I want that is just that it's a new one. So the first thing so here we have a lot of templates that are going on. So what you want to do is you want to copy this and paste it as the Git ignore. You want to do the same thing with the build ERT. So copy it. So here, copy, paste, Git build Gradle, and we don't want to add it to the Git repository. Up here, you want to add it to the Git repository, and then we check this Gradle.ert. This contains information about how we log on to the Figaf system, and here you enter your CPI. So you copy this remove the ERT path, enter your suser and password here, commit or save it. Obviously you don't want to commit this file into repository because everybody else would then have access to it. So that's why in the Git ignore we're not synchronizing .gradle files and properties. And then now we do the same thing for the settings. Copy, paste, that's fine. We're gonna add a line, cancel, that's fine. Now we have the Git repository Gradle plugins for this. So we have some Git files here, and we have these Gradle things, so we'll just have to say import Gradles. Sometimes it can see there is Gradles, all the time we just say import from Gradle. And what this will do is we'll look at all these properties that we have here, figure out all the different content from it, and based on that it will then create a tab over here where you got a lot of common tasks and stuff like that that we can use. Before we can get started, we also need to add some more repositories, and we'll or the jars that external jars that we are using. So we'll create a folder called libs, and in this folder we will add the under cloud integration content you got this script and generic file. We want to use those, so we need those for this to work. So let me just copy this. I already downloaded them. Place it here in the libs folder. That's good. And what we can then do is we can refresh all of this, and then it will check out all the different repository you have and all the different content that you have. And once we have done that, we are actually able to run this. And in this configuration, as we have here in this build, it is using some Figaf plugins that it is downloading from Gradle plugin and stuff like that. So with this, you're getting all the different resources that you need for you to actually run CPI content. Good. Before we get started, one of the things I wanted to show you is how easily you can actually run these things. And to do that, we, in the Figaf tool, have a testing application. And what we can do is we can go to our test case, test suite creation here. Here we can select an iFlow. We can say record messages. Once we're doing recording, they're all going to a test suite because that means it's easier to manage them. So we'll create demo. We just don't need one message for this to work. And we will then start it. And when we press start here, it will take this iFlow, switch it into trace mode. And then you just have to get someone to trigger it again, or either deploy or however you send messages and activate this. So now I've sent a message through, we can select it and pull, and this will then download all the messages that you have from this specific repository, and we can see the progress of this. It did found some messages, quite a few. And now it's completed. We've got 1 inbound and 27 outbound because it's saving all the different steps. And this is really cool because when you're doing the next step, so we can create test cases for these. So we'll take it, create a test case, and that means we can run this, get the result and see if everything is as we expect it to be. But we'll do that later. So right now we want to run this on a local environment. So we'll go here to our messages. So here we can see the incoming messages and all the different outgoing messages. And with this we have, so if I don't know where the Groovy script is, I guess you can find it, or maybe it's one of these call activities. You have a call activity, and you have the input and output before, and that is what we would use to generate a test case for it. So here we have one that says generate Groovy test script for this data, and that will take all of this data we have here, create Groovy test script for it. We'll add it to the Git repository. If we have not set up the Git repository, we can also download it locally. But if you add it to the Git repository, the process is a lot simpler. So now we can look at our commits to this repository. We can see that there was actually added these test scripts for this to work. So we can go back to our IntelliJ. We can download or pull all the data structure that we have, and let's see if it works. So we got 5 files, so we can see it gets all this this data. So let me show you where that is. So here we have our project. Here so for all iflows we have the script data that we need. So here we can see our test scripts. We have resources, and in the resources we're going to do the header 2. Here we have input message, header properties, and the body, and the output message and body. That means if we send this into the script, we are expecting this output. And then we have created a script file here that is a template you can start running. And what you can do here is you can take some of this data and you can run it. And we can just run this header 2. So we can just run it here. If everything is set up correctly, you have added libraries and nothing needs to be built. Let's see. And obviously you need to have Groovy installed, and we can see it now passed. Everything was successful. So let us make a change to this header 2. So we can see here we're adding quite a few elements. So let's just change it like this. Does it save or not? Probably save. We can run it here. And then hopefully we will see that there's actually a difference in the file that it is expecting. It has value 15, but it was expecting value 10. So that really works. If we want to do debugging of this, we can also run this in debug mode. So we can just set run here to debug. And with that, we actually know what the content is in this specific place. We can step into it, make modification into it possibly. See all the different values we have at this specific point in time. Obviously, it's not the real data and the real structure, and there may be differences, but at least it will give you a good idea about what's actually here. You can step through it. So that really simplifies the process. So now we have made this change, we are happy and everything, we have tested and everything like that. Obviously, we probably want to create some new test data for that specific test case. Then our next goal is to use we want to deploy this, and we have here created some tasks. So there's a Gradle plugin also that is then enable you to upload this iFlow. And because we have created the configuration of this, it's just about upload. We can deploy it. And now we can see its status deploying. If we log on to our CPI system, here we have the iFlow. Let me just refresh. So we take our resources, we take out our script 2. We can now see it has updated this from 10 to 15, so that is all good. And yeah, we can see it's now starting. So we know what we can run. We can, so in our CPI system, what we can now do is we can go in, save this as a version 41. We know that now. We'll also deploy that one. Maybe let's just deploy it. Maybe that will give some strange errors in the backend. we can now run our test again. So if we look at our test cases here, we have our test case. If we run this one on our system, our CPI system, and obviously you can run this on different systems, and there's a lot of different ways we can run it. We even have mock data as an option for this. So now we have switched the iFlow into trace mode. We have run it again. We can pull our results. Oh, I guess it didn't work, maybe because it was deploying at the same time. Let's just try again. Okay, so let's just wait until it's started, and then let's try again. So now we have run it. It was just because the iFlow needed to be deployed after we changed the version. So we can view the result of this comparison. We can see there's a lot of errors here. And I think a lot of these is because there's a diff in this expires. So we can just add that to ignore list. And we can see there was this thing about something was 10 where we needed to be 15. So now we have tested that it works. We can see how the results are, and we can obviously use the Figaf tool to do our transport with. So we'll want to synchronize again, just so we can be sure that everything has been pushed to the client. And in the meantime here, I will just revert this change we have made on this this header, and now we can see it's back to 10. And if I do a pull now, we should now get the data that has been deployed, and from that perspective around. So now we can see it's 15 again, and everything worked. So we have now proven we can take a CPI repository, put it into a Git repository, make changes in the code, deploy it directly from your IDE, run tests. Once you are satisfied with it, you can create a version that will then be deployed back into the Figaf repository, or into the Git repository. You can then manage these things and manage all the different scripts and Groovy scripts you have. And if you want to create custom code for this, there's also an easy way you can do that in our manual. If you just go here and find the Git integration, there's this section about Groovy test unit scripts that tells about what you need to do here. If you want to create your own sample script, you simply just add this. Here you can say what is the script and the resource, and run this, and then you can set up all the different assertions that you have. So you are actually reusing the same test data, set up assertions, and manage in this way. And this really makes it a lot simpler for users to figure out what is going on in this case. So hope this has been helpful. If you want to try it out, go to figaf.com/IRT. And here you can just try for free, sign up, and try it out. There's a free 30-day trial. You can try and see how it works. I hope this has been interesting. Go try it out at figaf.com/IRT.